Hello, friends. Chris Corsi here, president of Thrive Today, and I want to welcome you to the Relational Skills in Real Life podcast. Friends, today's topic is one that I frequently hear from people who are serving others in some capacity, whether they're counselors, helpers, therapists, even pastors, just people who serve others in some capacity. They say, hey, how do relational skills and inner healing work combine or merge and complement and even sustain each other? In other words, relational skills are actually the foundation for sustained healing. And that's what we're going to talk about today, whether we are in our own healing journeys, whether we serve others and walk with others who are in their healing journeys. The good news is relational skills and counseling therapy work together. And so we're going to really touch on this $1,000,000 topic, which is, hey, how do relational skills help people who are going through their healing journeys in some way, shape, or form? How can helpers use relational skills with those that they serve? And friends, I started out my ministry career nearly 30 years ago working with severe trauma. And so relational skills was born in the context of healing and maturing and growth. And you know what? We have a very special guest, my friend Claire Thompson. She specializes in helping people. She's a therapist that works with people. And you know what? Claire has been busily learning, growing, and spreading relational skills. And today's focus is going to really hone in on how relational skills can be used for someone who's in their healing journey. Let's listen in.
So as a counselor, I've been taking clients through inner healing for a long time, but now that I can add the relational skills, I've just seen that clients seem to have taken their lives to a whole new way of living in peace and joy and just managing life so much better. Life has become more stable for them. So I want to share with you today the story of my client, James, not his real name. And thank you, James, for giving me permission to do this today. So he's been coming to me for about 7 months. And when he first came, he was saying to me, look, I'm really struggling with the fact that I can't get close to my family. And I'm finding that I withdraw when things get a bit tense, and I'm just not happy with that. There seems to be a lack of trust. So what we went through some time with just ministering to him, and he was sharing with me his story. And it turned out that he'd been raised as in a neighboring African country, and he was living with his mom and dad. But then when he was about 3, his mother suddenly left. And this little boy was just devastated because there was no explanation. So to start with, what I did was I took him through the Emmanuel approach counseling method, and we took a time to let him thank the Lord for the things that he could. And he was just watching him and feeling and sensing himself become more peaceful and just open to hear from God. And then when God spoke to him and shared with him his thanks for when James had been thanking him, he was like, oh my goodness, God's so kind. He's just said such nice things about me. And he was delighted to actually find that God was so close. So then after a bit, I let him, I was asking Jesus if he would just give him an idea of a memory that he would like to heal. So, and straight away, James was sensing his mother there in the house, and then she was leaving. And at the age of 3, he just didn't know what was going on. He was confused. And nobody sat down with him to tell him what had happened, but he just had to get on with things. But in this memory, when Jesus took him back, it was he could sense that Jesus was actually inside him. And then there was a sense of being comforted and protected. And he was just feeling, this is so different. I'm looking at this thing and this picture again, and yet I'm not feeling that pain. And he could feel the pain actually recede as he was looking at that memory. And it was just really sweet to see. And so he had this beautiful experience of Jesus coming in and healing that trauma and explaining to him and processing it for him so that he could make sense of it and also find his healing. So then what James needed, and I've seen this with my clients, yes, they get the healing, but then they're needing to have skills to be able to live well. And this is where the relational skills have come in. It made such a difference and made such an impact in their lives, and particularly now in James's life. So I was taking him through the ability to build joy, and he could just sense just the wonderful thing that now he could feel sad and then take a moment to do maybe looking at some wonderful photos, memories that he's had, and he could feel joy come back in, and his mood shift and his relational circuits come back on. So what he's found now is that he can practice joy on his own, so he can build it for himself, but he can also now calm with breathing and with deep breathing and regulating his big emotions has been able to make such a big difference in his life. So embracing the relational skills has had a direct impact on the way that he lives and the way that he lives and relates with his family. And it's helped him to build resilience for the hard times. And he's just actually found that life has become more fun. But what he's been seeing is that the atmosphere at home has changed. Now he can take the time with his boys to play with them and play Lego for a couple of hours and enjoy that moment. He's also noticed that, his boys have grown more confident, and he's finding that there's ability to appreciate them. And even when they've been difficult, he can help them to get back to joy, which is, it's just made life so much difference. There's been so much difference there. But what has happened too is that his boys have become more confident. So he's seen them growing and developing and becoming more settled in themselves and confident of his love for them as well. I took him through a relational exercise of learning to move from the emotion of shame to confidence and joy. So he was feeling a little bit of shame about something minor that he'd done. And then he was looking up and reminding himself and declaring something that he liked about himself. And he was just like, this is so good. This is so good. I'm feeling the difference. What I want to really show you is that with the inner healing and having the relational skills, there's a real working together and collaborating with these two things, which really help my clients to have a much more stable way of life. There's a sense of enjoying people that they're with and learning to enjoy being with themselves, but also they're finding that the relationship with God is just taken to a deeper and new level. So with James, what he found was that his anxiety levels have dropped. He's able to calm himself. So he can now get back to joy when he feels upset. And he seems to have much more resilience and capacity, even though he lives a very full life with a job that's got a lot of responsibility, and then his wife and 2 small children. His life is very full. What he's found too, that just being with God has been beautiful. He's able to talk to him all the time, even at work, and get wisdom from when he's dealing with people in his team, but also at home. When something's going wrong, he can ask the Lord and he can get insight. So it's been really good. So he's seen personally the impact of having both traumas dealt with by the Lord, and then seeing these relational skills just grow and grow in his life and bring so much satisfaction to him. And I want to say that I personally have had the same experience, that God has done some amazing healings within me and brought so much peace to me. But having learned these relational skills and being able to practice them, I can tell you that even in my relationship with my husband and my own family, I can just see that I have greater capacity and that I can have so much more fulfilling life. And that's just made so much difference. Thank you.
Wow, friends, wasn't that something? Claire gave us a lot of wisdom from her own experience, and this is deeply encouraging. Claire's ability to help her friend James connect with the Lord, find peace, and really grow his capacity to find hope and joy is a very big deal. I was really struck by Jesus's tenderness to comfort and guide James, and how this became such an important part of his ability to process pain. As Claire talked about, he was working through some hard stuff, and he was able and surprised to hear how the Lord met him in that. And I really appreciated Claire sharing how James learning relational skills actually helped him to, in a sense, walk out his healing, and even how the relational skills have impacted his family. He could calm himself better, right? He could do some deep breathing. He was growing some joy that was actually spilling into his family relationship with his sons as well. I loved how Claire shared that life is more fun now for James because of the work that he's been doing. So you see relational skills being used to help James connect with Jesus in some painful places. This is what we call skill 13, seeing some of what God sees and connecting with Jesus in those hard places. But you also see a number of the skills in what Claire talked about in terms of getting relational, quieting, growing joy, using appreciation, all kinds of good stuff. That James is less anxious, he's more peaceful, and he's seeing a confidence even grow in his family. What a beautiful picture this is. So we see how relational skills and inner healing really do give a full picture for clients to become more stable and more secure. And the icing on the cake is to develop a deeper relationship with the living God. And I really appreciate Claire's story today because she shared how her own journey has really set the tone for those precious ones that she serves. So even her own growth of learning relational skills and how that's affected her marriage, her family, and her community. Claire has a more fulfilling life. And friends, I can't say it any better than that. Claire has a more fulfilling life. Friends, there's more good stuff where this came from. So all my counselors, pastors, therapists, and coaches and other friends who work in the helping field, please visit our website, thrivetoday.org/counseling is actually a whole page specifically for helpers. And so go to the Thrive website, go to that counseling page, and you'll find a lot of good information there. So may the good stuff continue to grow in your life, through your life, into those that you love.